Hello everyone, welcome back to the studio. My name's Kaylee, I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings, and I'm here to show you some simple techniques to help you level up your game. I wanted to do a beautiful autumn scene today with a dirt road and some really big trees kind of hanging over the road. Check the description below for the paint list and let's hop right into it. I've already applied the liquid white on the canvas and it's ready to go. I'm going to start with my 2-inch brush and a touch of Phthalo Blue and Van Dyke Brown. I just want a tiny bit of the Van Dyke Brown to dull the blue. Let's see what we've got. Maybe a little bit of Midnight Black. I'm just adding a touch of titanium white because I don't actually want this to be very dark. I just want it to be kind of a light blue sky in the background. So we're just starting with some blue on the brush and we'll start in the corner. Nice X's all the way across. I just want it to be a really soft sky. There's not much going on, but we need the darkness up here to be able to show some of the other colors later. And just apply this all the way, kind of working your way down the canvas, making sure to lighten up on the touch as you move down. And I'm just going to kind of blend this in a little bit. Just really want to soften it out. And we'll go ahead and bring this down, I don't know, down to here-ish. Who knows? We're going to cover it up a little bit later. Just getting rid of more paint from the brush. Making sure that we get a little bit of all these colors working in. Then I'm going to pick up a clean 2-inch brush. Starting in the lightest area, I really want to soften the sky. I'm just doing small X's to blend. You can do longer, flatter X's if it's easier. Don't want to forget this side over here. Just softening it. These colors will show through just a little bit, but not too much. Okay, next I'm going to pick up the fan brush. Let's use the 1-inch brush instead. I'm going to mix up very similar colors what we were using in the sky. Phthalo Blue, Van Dyke Brown, a little titanium white, Midnight Black, and we're going to add some more titanium white to it. Get a touch more. That's about where I think we ought to go. And to that we're just going to add a very small touch of Sap Green. Get that loaded into the 1-inch brush and then kind of wiggle it to a fine point. And we're going to pick out our little foothills. Let's see. maybe plan this out a little better. We've got kind of a land and some trees coming in here and a road somewhere kind of in this area. And we'll something like this. So in the background, let me bring this back to a nice point. We're just gonna put in kind of like, I'm just pushing up with the 2 or 1 inch brush and just tapping out a little bit of some tree line. And it's okay if it gets a little, you know, mine are kind of leaning right now for whatever reason. Let's straighten those back up. And let's just take this all the way down to about here. Just fill in a touch more of that dark because we're gonna want some of that later. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. I want to add a little bit more white to it and a touch more green. Just a little bit of a different flavor. And we'll kind of pick out a similar, not like big hills here. Well, maybe they are big hills, but they are just hills, not mountains. I took a pretty big trip across the country a few years back, and I remember some areas that had some really beautiful kind of rolling hills, and it's just very different from Utah where I live with the big mountains. So it was pretty cool. Now we're going to just blend out by tapping with your blending brush, your 2 inch. And we're going to just blend out the base, kind of just make it a little misty. Just tapping out the base of these trees to make it kind of misty. Get rid of some of that paint, and then we'll just lift up a little bit to get rid of those brush strokes. Just softens everything out a bit. Real nice like. Now, I lost my fan brush. Oh, I wasn't using one. Okay, back to the 1 inch brush. Let's get some more blue, sap green, a little crimson, Van Dyke brown, midnight black, all the dark colors. Load those onto the brush. And I actually am going to drag my brush through the paint so it gets a little bit of a rounded bit. And then we'll use that towards the top. And we're just pushing in another tree line here. Try and vary it up a little bit, but we just want to add in a lot of dark. We have Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green, Phthalo Blue, Van Dyke brown, midnight black. Basically all of the dark colors. And we're just going to get this color in. And we'll kind of pull out a few little shadowy areas just to kind of help shape this scene out, give us a good idea of what we're working with. We'll apply some of this dark just pretty much everywhere. Leave a few holes here for some highlights, and our road too will need some dark, but not all of it, so let's leave that. On this other side, I'm going to get some Alizarin Crimson Sap Green. Just drag it through the paint. I'm going for a nice warm brown tone on this side. Pull that paint out too, because we're going to have some shadows over on this area, but not too many. This is a lighter, the sun is coming from the left today. Nice warm tones here that we can just kind of scrub in for some of our highlights. A little bit of the same brown. It's kind of a burgundy color, Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green, but it's a little bit warmer, so it'll work out nice on here for later. And we'll put some in here. Next, we are going to pick out some trees over here. First, I'm going to use this Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green mixed together with just a tiny bit of our other dark mixture that we use to put all the trees in. And I'm just going to kind of scrape in some trees, branches, or some tree stumps out here. Just throw them in and we can fix them up later, just to give you an idea of where and how many, and you can also scrape with the butt of the knife and get a few white lines too, which will give it a little more detail without you even really trying. Let's do this big one there. Maybe they're getting closer, so they're a little bit bigger and we can see more. Just a bunch of trees back here, kind of protecting the fields and lining the areas between the farmland and the little hilly areas that might be a little harder to farm on, all the way back here. And we'll just put in a few over here. We might not really see these ones, but we'll put them in anyway. All right, next we're going to highlight these trees. Pick up your 1-inch brush, wipe it off. This is my dirty 1-inch brush. I'm just going to wipe off some of this paint. You don't have to clean it, but if you just wipe off some of the excess, then you can use it for the highlights, and it'll help to kind of blend the colors together in a way. Since we want this background to be a little bit misty, it'll really help us. First, I'm going to pick up just a touch of liquid white and put that just on my palette. got it all over me. Okay, I have some liquid white on the brush, and I'm going to start with these background trees, which we're not really going to see very much. So I have kind of a little bit of a gray mixture with all of those dirty colors we were using, and I just went right into a touch of Sap Green. That's it. Just a little bit of brightness. I'm going to touch into the Indian Yellow now. Just a touch. A little more liquid white. And we'll hit these ones over here. They're way out in the background, so we just can hardly see them. Now I want to kind of get these going a little bit more vibrant as they're moving closer. So a little bit more Indian Yellow now. Liquid white. And we'll just kind of shape out a couple trees. I'm gonna pick up the fan brush, and I want to do kind of like I don't know, these bright red trees. I'm not really sure what trees there are out there. I just know there's a lot of variety of deciduous trees, kind of towards the east, maybe like Tennessee area or something, but really beautiful varieties of colors out there, and it was really fun to see. I'm just mixing in a little Alizarin Crimson to the bright red, still using the fan brush. I'm just gonna do a few different kinds of trees, and I'm gonna throw in a few kind of background ones that we might cover up a little bit later. Maybe one more right there. And let's do like a bright orange one. That would be fun. You can do whatever colors you want. I'm gonna pick up a little liquid white. Just have some fun and do what kind of trees maybe grow by you. The limit is your imagination. I'm gonna do like a little birch type tree. They've got a lot of little arms up high like that. Indian Yellow. Let's go into some yellow ochre now, and I'm gonna open up that fan brush just by hitting it on my palette. Let's pick up a little bright red too, and oh, I'm being picky, but don't, just go for it. Just another one there. I'm gonna do some more like greenish ones. I'm gonna get some more liquid white, just a touch too. I didn't get any. Just a thin, and we'll do some sap green. I think this one needs to be green back there, and maybe one right here in front. And I'm thinking if you just kind of wiggle out the fan brush like we did before, pick out a few yellows to kind of dull that green. Maybe just a touch of crimson. And we'll do kind of like a little pine tree or fir style of a tree, whatever grows out there. There are plenty of styles, and I know they're everywhere. Maybe just a few more of those. You just find them, put them in, and if we need to cover them up later in some areas, that's perfect. Give them just a little family here. There's a few. I like that. Let's add some stumps. Just before they go away. There we go. Okay. Now let's do a few more colors. I'm going to pick up the fan brush, go right into the bright red Alizarin Crimson. We still kind of have some golds on there. It's just another flavor. Pop in another tree there, maybe into a little more of the bright yellow right in front. That's nice. Let's go just bright red into this yellow and bring this one down and clean out our fan brush. Just squeeze it out, go right into the liquid white, grab a little dip of that, thin down whatever paint's left on your brush and get some Indian yellow. Ooh, that's bright, nice. I want that nice and bright. And let's pick out, maybe open that brush up, and there's this big beautiful golden tree right here. A little bit more yellow to finish it down. Now some reds into that, just a little bit of a change. Some yellow ochre. And maybe I'm thinking clean out the brush again. And we'll do just a little titanium white, go into this green mixture. I wanted a little more green and liquid white. And I want to use this, actually, let's just take a little bit of our darks, kind of pull these out a little. We'll do more with that. And with this nice bright green, I want to just pick out an area right out where this road kind of disappears into the mist of this brightness back here. Just cleaning off the brush again, and I'm going to go into some Indian yellow and just tap some of that out. Liquid white. We'll go into some yellows. Give this a nice pop here, just as if the sun is just really catching it. And kind of soften out the two. And we will just go add in a few more stumps now. A little Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green, mix those together. Just add in a few more stumps, some variety. And for some of these, we'll just scrape in a few branches where we know that they might be. Next, I'm going to take the 1-inch brush, kind of clean that off a little bit, go right into this dark mixture, and I just want to pick out a little bit of a line that's kind of coming out of this tree area, just all the dark colors, and we'll just clean up the base a little bit of these trees. I'm just trying to go really light in some areas where I know I'm going to have a good bit of highlight, but we still need this dark for those lights to show. So you can't just leave them wide open. Now I'm going to pick out just a tiny little bit of this bright green mixture and just bring a few of these a little bit out right here. And I'm thinking I want some green right out here as well. We'll just pop it in there like that. Bring it forward just a touch. Now I want to clean up this area and just make sure that this is going to be nice and misty, so I'm just going to tap out some of those areas. There we go. And we'll go right into kind of this yellow, Indian yellow, yellow ochre, and we will kind of pick out where the land is. Mostly flat, but it'll be a little higher up in these. Kind of mix up the colors. It's autumn, everything is just very golden and beautiful, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's all gold. So make sure that you add in a little bit of variety to that. And if you can't get it to stick, you can just add a little bit of liquid white. And I want this there to be kind of a darker area right in here. To kind of give a little bit of fun there, variety, maybe a little green. A little bit more into the dark. And let's take our blending brush and just soften some of this out. Just right on the edge here for a sec, and very lightly. Nice. Over on this side, I want to do quite a little bit more lighter, so we'll go right into the liquid white and just use your light yellow mixture over here. And we're just going to put in the same kind of grassy field over here. Maybe a little bit of dark here and there. Just pushing up with the fan brush, and then we'll soften it out. Really flat, maybe a little bit of green. Back to the yellow, little reds, now getting just slightly darker as it's getting closer. And then we're going to move here into the shadow of these trees that we're about to put in. And I'm just going to add in this dark little bit darker now. And I'm just moving some of these colors, you know, working with the same colors that we've been using into areas where we're going to have shadows and darks. Just putting in some texture, and we can clean up and change that later. Because we're going to have a road here, but we still want these colors to kind of match up, right? So we're just going to keep working with dark and light. Back to some darks. I'm gonna work in here, kind of moving these shadows up and through. Playing fights with this canvas today. Blue, Van Dyke Brown, Midnight Black, Alizarin Crimson, Sap Green, all the darks. Let's work on some of this dark bit over here. Just want to get all of this covered. You can really work in kind of, you can kind of work in whatever order you want. There are definitely ways to make it easier, especially on in this wet on wet process, but it's all relatively similar in that you need to put the dark so that the light shows, and it's a lot easier to work back to front when you're doing wet on wet, because then you don't worry about smearing anything back here because you're kind of already done with that. So it does definitely help to have a method there, but we can kind of just throw in these colors here where we want them. I'm gonna move, let's see, just a touch of this kind of darker here, maybe a touch more here. And then let's flatten this out. This is going to be our road area, kind of right in here, and it's going to go out to that area. This is our road, dirt road here. All of these beautiful colors now are just working for us. And it's gonna start right there-ish. And so let's just pull that over. And in these areas, we're gonna have, these are kind of some leaves over here, so this texture works really well. We can just more or less just soften that out, and we'll add to that later. And let's start working on this area. There's gonna be a fence and then a good bit of grasses. So I want to add just some kind of longer grass. This stuff isn't being always cut because it's right by the fence. Little liquid white, sap green, nice and bright right out here. Just go ahead and bring that down. Get some more, kind of darken that green a little bit. You can mix it with some Alizarin Crimson. And we're just going to put in some green grasses here, darker now. Kind of grab some Van Dyke Brown, Midnight Black, and Alizarin Crimson, and let's just give this a tap all the way down. I'm using my sable brush. This is a really soft brush, and I'm just pulling out flat for some of this. I want it to kind of look like a little just darkness on the over here, and then the land kind of falls off into the road. Now, pick up your palette knife. Let's do just a couple more highlights on this grass before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Just had to clean out my brush, and I'm going to go right into this light mixture on the fan brush. Indian yellow. There's a little liquid white still. And I want to just pick out some really nice highlights out here. Let's get some liquid white. I need this to be a little lighter. And we'll do right here. There's a one and another one right here. Kind of nice and beautiful, bright, long grasses just kind of blowing out in the wind in the field. Just waiting to be cut. And we'll bring just some of that in between these green areas, just to bring those two together. And then we can finish that up. I want to maybe just pick up a little bit of liquid white right on the corner of the fan brush and just right out on some of the tops of these. Just give them a little tap, and they just kind of look like bigger, taller grasses. Just in a few areas. Okay, I'm gonna plan out a few trees here. Picking up my script liner, and I'm gonna mix up a brown with the Sap Green and Alizarin Crimson. To that, some Van Dyke Brown and dark Sienna. A little bit more Sienna and Van Dyke Brown. And I'm going to use the script liner to just pick out these first trees back here. There's kind of like a big group. And we'll just kind of put them in with the script liner. Just a few details. Not too many. There's quite a few back here, and they're, you know, pretty close together because they're really far away. So they're, let's do one more. Right there. Let's pull out some little foots. I'm using a pretty thick paint, but it's all sticking okay on this script liner, but you might have to thin it out to get this to work. And we'll do one. Let's do just two more. Getting a little bit bigger now. And they've got these huge, long, like kind of hanging fingery branches they're so long. It's really cool to see these just huge branches carrying all of these little leaves on them. Let's just clean that up down at the bottom. Bring out some little feet. And we're going to pull out some little shadowy areas on the road that it's going to be out there. Something like that. We'll take the sable brush and just soften it. And these trees, we're going to put some kind of a gold colored leaf on them. I'm going to clean off my 1-inch brush and see if I can get this to be a light enough color, but it is pretty dirty. Liquid white. Into our light colors, I want yellow, ochre, and Indian yellow. Get a good bit worked into the brush and just tap it out. Actually, let's get it kind of to a little bit of a point. Not too much, but wiggle like half of it into a point. And we'll just put in some branches. They're kind of, like I said, they're really swoopy and fingery, so I want these to kind of all go in directions of the leaves, or of the fingers and the branches. Words are hard. It might be snack time. Some this way, and just a little bit more color up top. And I want just a touch of lightness to kind of pop through. A little more liquid white right over here. Nice. And let's use that same color just to clean up the base. We're going to have some highlight coming through on the path right here. With the sable brush, just flatten out the path very lightly, bringing those colors together. And we're going to add just a touch of highlight to these trees out here. Just go into your light mixture and get some on the side. Just go right down the outside. Nice and loose. Maybe a little white. Nice. I'll leave that. And then we'll work on our little posts out here. We're gonna grab just some of this same dark color we used for the trees, and we're gonna start with some fence posts out here. And it's an old area. These trees are old, they're really big. You can just tell it's old, and even this fence is a little bit old and kind of got some posts a little out of whack. They used to make them just out of trees, you know, and they would find the straightest ones they could, but they weren't always straight. They did the trick though. We'll just turn the knife and put in a few more. And then we've got a fence kind of going back this way. And it's gonna meet maybe right here. Something like that. We'll add a little bit of highlight to these before we forget, because that sounds like something I would do. Just got some highlight on both sides of the knife, and I'm just gonna go down and tap until I run out, which I did. I got a little more on this side. You've got some heavy paint, so hopefully the highlight will just stick right on the side. That's the trick. And I want to go even further and just put a few little tops on these, just getting a little bit on the corner of the knife of the highlight, and you can just cap it off. All right. I'm gonna work on the few trees that we have out on this side now. And let's do, actually, pick up the fan brush, and I'm going to go into a little bit of this dark mixture here and just kind of bring some of this grass over and cover, just kind of clean up the base of these fence posts here. I want to add some highlight. I just want to brighten up this area in the background. Getting some liquid white, and I'm going right into this light mixture, some yellows, grab some more Indian yellow. And I want this right out here to be nice and bright. Grab the sable brush and just flatten the path. And a touch more right up that area. Nice. Okay. Pick up the script liner again into our dark mixtures. A little bit more Van Dyke brown. And we're going to just do a big bundle of trees here. They're super close together. A little more dark. And we'll just kind of get a few more in here. How about that? Let's get some more dark and just kind of grab their feet, kind of plant them down into the ground here. Then we want to put just a few little ideas of some branches across, but not too many. we don't want to cover up all this other stuff that we did, but we do want to give them the same kind of treatment. Right down on the bottom, right in here, we're going to get just a touch of this brownish and some yellow ochre, bright red. And we'll just push in just a touch of some darker, kind of like some shadows. Now, a little bit more Indian yellow. I just wiped off the brush a little, bright red. Just kind of some raw colors here. Now some liquid white, lighter now. And we'll just throw a little bit out here just to kind of add some dark sort of over there. I'm going to use this palette knife and pick up some of this highlight color that we made. Just get some on both sides of the knife and highlight these trees that we've got out here. Just dance in a little bit of sun on them. We'll pick up the fan brush, get into some of our green mixture, and add in some green down at the bottom of these trees. Need a little bit more green. Just covered up one of those trees to get some grass behind, but that's okay because you can just fix it. There we go. And then we'll re-highlight that one. I want some of this over here too. That's cool. I like that. Okay, now, right in between, we're gonna have some reds, some leaves, fallen leaves from these beautiful trees. So just pick up some of your golds and reds, kind of a darker color, and just right in between this grass and the path, we're going to tap in some of these leaves, pick up a little Van Dyke brown, some dark sienna, bright red, just kind of enrich that color a little bit. A little more reds and our burgundy mixture over here. And I'm just putting in more detail that doesn't look like detail, but it will be. These are going to be just beautiful looking leaves once it's all dry. Fallen leaves on the path. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a snack. All right, I just had a little snack and we're back here. I'm gonna just finish up a little area back in this area with the picking up the fan brush, going into some of the brown mixture. I just want to give a little bit more depth into these areas on the in-between. There's a little bit of grass coming out, and then the path, I'm just gonna kind of make the path a little bit smaller. I went for more grass today. And I'm going to put in a little bit of like a rope actually, yeah, it'll be like a wire. So just get a nice thin dark color, very, 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 very thin. Twirl it on the script liner, and we'll just add in kind of like a little wire. And as it gets closer, maybe you can add a few little barbs on it. Get that twirled into a nice little point. It's nice and thin, so it'll drag and just move your paint. And then I just add a few little barbs. And I think there'll probably be a little more fencing. I don't want to do too much because it'll just take away from the, but just a little idea, oop, got a little crazy there, of a wire. And then we need to connect this one over here. And I want to add just a couple more fence posts back in this area. We just don't want to forget them. Grab a little highlight maybe. And just a tiny little finish that off there. A very little fan brush here. I'm going to dip right into the Indian Yellow and just some of this bright mixture here. And I want to get a little bit lighter. There's a little liquid white here. And we'll just highlight a few areas right here. Pick up the sable brush and just soften out some areas where the path is going to be. Bring that together there. Going back to my dirty fan brush, right onto the brush, into this dirty yellow, and pick up a little liquid white. And we'll pick out some other areas, now darkening it as it gets closer. I just want this to be a nice green. A little darker. And now I want to add just a little bit of light color in between. Just pick up some bright colors, mix them in, and just put them right in the middle. Sable brush, Oh, we lost our little drop. Just going to use this little sable brush and go into the brown mixtures, picking up a little Van Dyke brown into the previous brown mixture we made with Alizarin Crimson and Sap Green. Load the brush up real nice. And let's really plan this one out. These trees are just on this side all real big, leaning over the road. It's really special. All right, let's do one about here. And let's just fill them in. And we'll have one more. Here-ish. And a final one that's going to be right out in this area. But I don't want to put it in just yet. I'm going to work on these. Just fill those in there. Okay, script liner, and into the thick paint we go, and we're going to build our big trees. They're going to have a bit more coming up the middle because these are just huge old, I don't know really what kind of trees these are. I'm kind of thinking maybe like in the Tennessee area. I just remember these beautiful big farm areas that were kind of like notched in by some trees, and you just would come out of these dark areas into these farmy areas, and they're really, really beautiful. So that is what we're going to work on, and these just are going to just keep growing and shooting arms out. We'll have some kind of going out this way. And there, just give them a good bit of movement and wiggle them about. And I really want this one back here to kind of build this feeling of an arch over here, because there really is just enough room for these, you know, probably horse trailers and you know, utility type vehicles that are necessary in these areas, but that's all that'll fit. And I just want it to be this like cool tunnel. I promise you, it exists. I've seen it. They just look like fingers. You're gonna have to try and twirl the brush to keep the paint flowing, but it definitely takes just a little bit of practice. Once you get the hang of it, it'll be easier. But you start to pick up some of the color from the background, and then you have to do some tricks. So I twist the brush as I paint. So give that a try. Let's have a branch going in this way, kind of behind these ones. Just way out there. And we'll just keep working little by little, just picking out some branches. And make them nice and tall up here. Pretty tall trees. Might have to make the bottom bigger to match how tall it is. Okay, let's do just a few more, kind of maybe get this kind of going off the edge of the canvas and do some more up top. This way, maybe this way. All right, I think we've mostly balanced it out. I want to just, whoop, number 2. Okay, back at it. Just throwing my brushes. I think that's the second time. We'll see. Oh my goodness. Let's see, how about right over here? We'll do something that kind of dances along out there. They can go whatever which way, but the majority of them are just so long and they just go on forever. A bit bigger here. And a few more details. Don't want to cover all of this yellows up, but there are some branches here. Right, now let's pick up the palette knife and we'll make a little bit of a highlight for this tree. Some of our brown mixture, titanium white, and yellow ochre. A little more yellow ochre and some bright red. Yeah, I like that. We'll just use this for now and just drag it down on the highlight side. And just create some texture. Just right below on the bottom here maybe. Now let's do a little bit of a shadow. Brown mixture, titanium white, And just right over here into our kind of blue greens. And we'll just use this on the back side. Let's do a little bit of Van Dyke brown in there. Just add a little bit of detail in to some areas where you think you might see it, and leave it. We're going to add just a touch of yellow ochre, titanium white over into our fun bright colors over here. Just grab off a little bit of that, and we'll do a little pop right on the edge. Maybe a tiny bit up here. Okay. Now I'm going to clean out the fan brush. And I'm going to add some little bit of detail for the leaves on this tree. Bright red, yellow ochre, Indian yellow. We want like a dark orange. And we'll just pick out a few, just tap the fingers out with the fan brush. Vary it up depending on the angle of the brush or of the branch. And then try not to cover like all of the branches, but we are going to be filling in a lot of this. We want this to be kind of with some dark leaves and dark oranges so that our other bright ones will show up. So we'll just put in some ideas here now of these kind of fingers. Just all of our yellows and some red. We don't want to forget this side. Just a touch of our dark brown mixture. We'll have a few more hanging down over here. And a little bit of dark. Let's just take the sable brush. It's dirty, that's okay. Just in a few areas where there's a lot of paint buildup, we'll just soften it down a little bit. All right. Let's do this next tree, and we'll have 2 more trees, and then we'll finish it off. We're really close. This one, we're gonna go all the way up with this one too. Kind of lean it in just a touch. And we'll do just a couple of slightly longer branches here coming out. Just put them in with this nice thick brush to make it easier. Maybe another one here. And now let's do something like this. And this one's gonna go over there. Then we've got a few. Just want to make sure that they're nice and dark. Do something like this. Okay, now script liner, and we just put in a lot more dark branches. Clean off this one here. I'm going to take some the sable brush, a dirty one, and just take some dark colors, a little bit of blue, and just bring in a little bit of dark down here. Some shadows, maybe a little of our brown. Midnight black and some blue. Some shadows over here too. All right, so now we've got some, add in just a touch more shadow for this tree. I think that makes sense there. We're gonna add a fence over here. I have just some brown paint on the small side of the knife, and I'm gonna switch to the big side now and put this little guy back here. And this one will probably be behind the tree so we won't see it, but maybe it'll sneak out. There we go. A little bit of highlight, pop it on that highlight side. A little bit on these little guys. We'll pull just a tiny bit of the fence. Probably could have done this before, but I wasn't sure if it was going to show. Something like that. And let's do a little bit more, some dark. Just gonna pick out a few branches. That are gonna show up. And then we'll have some kind of out here in front, right? I need something else. Okay, I decided I needed some more crimson in this. Crimson and red, and then back to the other color we had. Since it is, after all, more of a shadow color, I want it to feel that way. Kind of like a burnt color, but not too. And we'll just pick out some of these darker areas underneath the tree. I'm just pushing up with the brush, trying to get some darker areas going so that it really feels like it's a canopy here. And you have to have the dark so that this light shows. Let's do some more bright red, and I'm gonna go get some more. I might need more. Bright red, just some Indian yellow. I just want to kind of orange that back up a little. That'll do. Let's pick out some little stuff, some shadows. bunch of darker kind of up here. Indian yellow, bright red. And we'll just kind of throw some color out here. I want to pick up some Indian yellow, just a tiny bit of liquid white. And in just a few of these, we're going to start adding in some highlights. Indian yellow and just liquid white and the dirty brush. And I want these leaves to just look like little fingers coming down. Indian yellow, little crimson maybe. Thin it back. Just a little touch of light coming in on that one there. And we'll have some more highlights. In here. Liquid white. Just give some of these little sparkles. I'm going to take the sable brush and just soften a few of these areas. Just kind of adding in a few little bits of detail. Just kind of wipe off the brush a little bit. We add detail by taking away detail. Finish that sentence. So we just want to tap out a few of these areas and just soften them. And kind of blend one area into the next so they're not, it just makes sense, you know? Soften it. Not too much over here, just a little. Let's do a little bit on the path. Titanium white, yellow ochre, and into our tree mixture highlight. Let's add some Indian yellow. And I'm going to use a touch of this right across. And I want a little bit more white in here. this paint's nice and marbled, so it's getting a really nice little effect here. And that's what we want. Let's add some of this brighter bits up here. Let's set that down for a little bit and do our last big tree, the home stretch. Getting lots of our dark Van Dyke brown, dark sienna, and this nice brown mixture of all of the combined. And we're gonna just put in our big tree. Comes all the way down here and is just giant, big old tree. This is the biggest one. It even has this huge knot right on it right there. Get a little black. Back to our browns. And let's give them some movement. A little bit of a wiggle. And he's got it going on. Fill that in nice and dark. And I'm gonna go right up and off this way. And right out this way. Big old sucker. Van Dyke brown, midnight black. I really want this dark midnight black and Prussian blue, just a touch. Nice and dark. Back to our browns. Give it some definition down at the bottom here. Just huge old tree looking over this farm out here. We're gonna put some more branches on this thing here and just make sure that it is all looking nice and giant. Maybe this branch comes all the way down. Maybe not. Let's not. Let's do this. Back to the original. I want to do, this is just bugging me. I never really finished this one, so now I have to. Okay, let's finish this tree. A little bit of highlight, not too much. Down this side. Let's add a little bit of red and darken this just a touch. Ooh, I'm getting a little crazy here. All right, I'm gonna pick up my fan brush and correct this mess I made over there. I'm just gonna turn it into some grass and then put our fence line back in. Shh, no one will ever know. Let's do a little bit of our shadow color down on the back. That's just too light of a shadow color. A little bit of dark back into it, because I really do want this to be more in the shadows. So let's use that. I like it. all the way down. And while we have it, let's do a little bit on this guy out here. A little bit of highlight. I want this one to be a bit darker. I'm just using the texture that I already had on this tree and a very, very, very light touch on the knife to get all of these fun textures to just come right out for you. Let's get a little bit more of our shadow color. Nice and dark here. Some shadow in here. Okay. I'm going to pick out a few extra branches to put in over here. Just so you can pick out a few more and throw them in. Now let's take our fan brush, clean it off a little bit, go right into some liquid white, and I want to get some sap green. I want a really bright sap green and just a touch of midnight black. It's a really pretty color, midnight black and yellow ochre. With the green, it just is a different, little bit of a different color. And I want to just clean up some of the bottom of this nice big tree out here with some grasses. Kind of come out into the road a little bit, and then back behind this other tree there. Maybe there's a touch out here too. Now we'll do a little bit more green. And let's do a few little areas out here. Little yellow. Now into the yellows. Let's clean that off. I want to just put in a little bit of highlight. Maybe in some yellow. A little bit of bright red. More bright red. Indian yellow, bright red. We're just adding some of these leaves back down here. And let's clean up the foot of this tree with some Go back into the green. I'm just showing you how easy it is to mix and go back and forth with colors on the brush, and you don't have to always be cleaning your brushes all the time. You just have to know what you're working with, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. That's okay. Let's put in some dark over here with the palette knife, just mixing up these browns and blacks. And I'm just going to pull down a little bit of some dark path again, since we kind of lost that before. It's just kind of like an old dirt road. Maybe it was paved and it just got all run down, and now it's not, and it's just dirty. And some more dark, some of this shadow color from the tree. And I just want just maybe a touch more dark up here. Straight, pulling that nice and flat. All right. Now let's finish some more branches, just kind of going back and forth and working with the composition until it gets to a point where it all works. I think these branches need to show themselves. Now we'll throw in some little guys. I'm just using my brush wash and dark colors. On the script liner. Dark. I want these branches all to be very dark. Wherever, let's just throw them in however. And clean up this little mess I made there. Let's go ahead and add in some more of our golds. I just want to bring this down a little bit back here. Just a little bit more dark here. Let's just fix some of that. I'll add in just a touch of highlight on that side. And a little, we'll go into our yellows, reds. And just kind of fill this in. Grab your fan brush. Let's clean that off. First, we'll get a nice light color, and we'll just pop in a real bright color right back here. Then let's move forward a little bit, adding some Indian yellow. Right back here. A touch in here. And let's do a little bit out here too. A little bit more liquid white. Bright red. Just want it slightly more orange. There we go. All of this out here. Nice orange, bright, bright orange. Maybe a few up here. Let's go straight into the Indian yellow. And let's just touch up a few areas out here and add some pops of color. Crimson. And I want to bring these tree branches down to be more the right angle here. So let's just do some of that. I kind of messed that up. That's okay. So we'll put some dark, clean it off, liquid white, Indian yellow. Highlight the bottom as the sun is kind of reflecting out on these areas behind. And then we'll just pull this tree back. Grab your highlight color. And just slide the knife right back over shadow color of the tree. Not usually how you do it, but that's the way it's getting done today. We're going to add just a few pops of yellow. Cadmium yellow. Thin that. But we want this nice and bright, very sunshiny. And we're just going to pop this in over some of our already highlights. Just make them really sing in the sun out here. A little liquid white. Bright yellow. This is just our sunshine, just popping through, really making these trees just sing out here. A few areas, not too many, 'cause it's not quite the right, and just pop in a few bits of this bright yellow. Add a little bright red to that. Out here maybe. Okay, last but not least, let's pick up just a little bit of bright red to some of these background trees right on the end of the brush. Just make them pop. There we go. Now we're going to use some of this red and some crimson and just finish up these leaves down here. They're just blanketing this whole area. A little bit of bright yellow. And just pop some fun in there. Let's use this knife and just slide out a little bit of the path. Right up the side of this tree, I'm just gonna add a little bit of pop of like moss that's just maybe just growing right there, just a touch. Let's use the script liner in some of our dark greens and just put out some grasses. These are just some longer grasses. The road doesn't get used that much. No one comes over. No one maintains it. It just is. Just simple. Some grasses over here. By this fence. I'm going to add just a little bit more highlight onto this tree in the foreground. Getting away from me. There we go. Let's leave that. I'm gonna add in just a teensy bit more grass just to kind of clean this part up over here. Some leaves and things, and we'll just pull up a few more grasses in front. I'm going to use the sable brush and soften out a few areas of the path. Just to sort of bring it together. Lay the grass down into the path itself. And then blend some of these highlights and shadows, just make them nice and soft. Then I want to pick out with our bright yellow and titanium white a nice bright area. There we go. I'm going to clean up this edge just right over here with a few little sparkles of some grassies. Just right at the bottom. Nothing crazy. And I'm going to sign it and be done. Clean off the script liner. Get some brush wash and bright red, or whatever color you like to sign it with. This is just the color that I sign it with, so it shows up, and it's the way I've been doing it since I started painting, so I haven't changed. Twirl it into a little small bit and sign your name. All right, we're all done. Today I just completed this nice little path scene for you, tutorial number 18. Please let me know in the comments below what you think about this. I hope you have fun. It's just a fun little painting. You can just play around with colors and do any sort of color. We're just playing with lights and darks. Please email me if you decide to paint this. I'd love to see the painting that you created, Kaylee@KayleeRakowski.com. Thanks for being with me here today for Tutorial Tuesday. I'll see you next week. Smile and be happy, friends.